Welcome along, everyone, to the high-speed Atlanta Motor Speedway for today's running of the 1-Up Superstar Series at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Alongside me in the booth today is Ryan Caggiano for today's race, and I ask you this. With tire degradation at its peak here at Atlanta and drivers running flat out throughout this entire race, how do you expect this race to go? You going to expect to see a lot of incidents, or do you expect to see strategy be the name of the game?
Probably a bit of little column A, a little bit of column B, because the instance will probably change your strategy depending on how many instances there are. We don't want it. We don't want a repeat of the Pepsi Superdome again. That's not what we don't want, especially after the race.
Absolutely, and we can give you the full starting lineup of today's race at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Jared Polansky puts his number 18 Toyota on pole position with rookie Diego Yepes alongside him. He just barely snuck into the race after being the last driver to get in and go home qualifying. He starts second. Veterans Jeffrey Finguy and Justin Hutchinson make up row 2, and behind them, Nick Ortiz and Christian Vargas, the Pensacola 500 pole sitter, in 6th position. So I ask you this: where do you think you're gonna see our winner start today? You think he's gonna start at the front, or do you think they're gonna start deeper in the field and work their way up?
Well, after the last race and the curse has been broken, I reckon he might have the momentum to try and keep it going. But you got some really good drivers in this mixture here. Remember, you still got Hunter, you got Stephen Gale, you have a rookie, in the top percentage, in second position. So it's really anyone's race here.
And with that being said, as we always say here in this series, the cars are lined up on the grid and we're ready to go racing. So we'll take you to the green flag as soon as it's ready for us to be waved. This is the 1-Up Superstar Series live from Atlanta Motor Speedway. Stay tuned for the start of today's action. With Jared Polansky and Diego Yepes on the front row, the pace car makes its way onto pit road. Leaves us in the hands of the 18 and 77. The green flag is out and in the air. We are underway here at Atlanta Motor Speedway, and Jeffrey Finguy gives a big push to Jared Polansky, who's going to cement himself into the race lead as they barrel off into turn 1 for the first of 98 laps here at Atlanta.
Yeah, this is not a race about speed, it's a race about nutrition. Doesn't matter what lap you lead, as long as you lead that final lap, that's the main one that matters.
Yep, and with side-by-side action guaranteed throughout this entire race, you're going to want to manage your stuff, especially in the early stages, because you're going to need it at the end, as Polansky leads Yepes and Hutchinson in the side-by-side battle for second off of turn 4. Polansky leads lap number 1, and they're 2 and 3 wide behind him already, as the whole field gets bunched up and battling for positions here in the early stages.
Yeah, early stages, you want to try and jostle for position, try to plan your strategy well with your pit director. But right now it's just about getting into the groove in this track.
So Polansky edges out Hutchinson for the lead, but Hutchinson swings up high to try and get a run off of turn 4. It looks like he'll get it too, coming off of turn 4 to complete lap number 2. It'll be a drag race to the start-finish line, but Justin Hutchinson will lead lap number 2 by an inch ahead of Jared Polansky. They're still side-by-side going through turns 1 and 2. Anything can happen, but with these Toyotas starting to make their way to the front of the field, with Polansky, Vargas, Hunter, all these Toyotas making their way to the front of the field, I imagine it's going to be one of them celebrating in victory lane, unless these other manufacturers can get their act together, because I see some Fords up in the mix as well.
Yeah, you see a couple Fords here and there trying to make their way up, but right now it's all the Toyota show, basically.
So with Justin Hutchinson out in front, leading Jared in a Ford, leading Jared Polansky's Toyota. Actually, it's leading 3 Toyotas behind him. The next Ford is Diego Yepes in 5th. The first Dodge is Bobo Jones back in 10th, and there's not a single Chevrolet in the top 10. It just goes to show how the blue ovals are leading the way. But Toyota is starting to show their muscle as well, as Stephen Hunter makes his way to the high side. Could he lead this lap? It looks like it'll be Hutchinson this time. But Stephen Hunter's got a really good run off the high side. He'll be side by side with Hutchinson as they go through 1 and 2. They're 3 wide behind them for 3rd place.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Stephen Hunter started in 8th, and now he's challenging for pole position. And basically that's just because of how well of a driver he is.
And Hunter makes a move to the high side, trying to go for the lead on Justin Hutchinson. It's going to be close once again, but I believe this time Hunter will get the edge, and he will lead this lap. Hunter gets his first bonus point of the race to lead a lap in this race. He wants to lead as many as he can to try and get a second bonus point for leading the most laps, and if he can snag fastest lap as well, that'll only do him better as the season progresses in his efforts to defend his 2020 championship.
Yeah, exactly. But you've got some really, really good drivers in the field. You have Ortiz, you have Polanski, you got Hutchinson, you have some really interesting fun rookies as well that spice up the field. So really, you never know.
So with Hunter out in front right now, we've completed 6 laps. We're on lap number 7 right now. They're still side by side for position and for the lead, with Hutchinson and Hunter side by side battling for position. What will Nick Ortiz do in third place? It looks like he's stuck pushing Stephen Hunter for now, but he really wants to get to the bottom lane and help his teammate. But right now it's Jared Polanski pushing Justin Hutchinson instead, but Ortiz's efforts will get Stephen Hunter out to a very handy lead as we complete lap number 7. Hunter is your leader.
Yeah, I mean, well, there's no really room much for Ortiz to go. He wants to help his teammate, but his teammate's right next to him, and he has freaking Polanski there, so he can't do it.
But they're still side by side for second. The two Finish Line Motorsports entries are side by side for second place, with Finn Guy running in 4th. Duke Anzac making his way up into the top 5 as well. He's in 6th currently. But Ortiz making a move on the outside of Hunter, but it's not going to stick. Hunter leads that lap and continues to lead this race. But Hutchinson's going down on the inside. He's got barely any help from anybody down there. He's got Duke Anzac helping him a little bit. But that train of cars on the high side's just got to be helping Stephen Hunter edge out the lead every single time.
Yeah, exactly. When you have a huge possession of cars behind your tail, it gives you a little bit of a helpful nudge to say, keep moving forward so I don't get lapped and lose my position. And that's basically what's happening to Hunter.
We're 3 wide for a moment for the lead, but Duke Anzac wisely backed out of it. That allows Justin Hutchinson to take the lead in the Blue Cross Blue Shield Ford Mustang. He gets out in front of Stephen Hunter, and the number 10 is your new race leader, with Anzac and Hunter double wide for second. Ortiz in 4th, Jeffrey Finguy, Jared Polanski, and Christian Vargas are your lead pack right now. But Stephen Hunter gets around Hutchinson with relative ease, and he will lead this lap once again. Just goes to show how fast this 51 is.
Yeah, that 51 has some magic in it, especially from last season. He's still showing that it wasn't a fluke that he won last season. He's showing us here right now why he deserves to be credited as champion.
We're already about a 10th of the way through this race with Stephen Hunter out in front. We've got a furious battle for the lead on our hands, though, with Justin Hutchinson nosing out Stephen Hunter on the outside. Hutchinson will lead lap number 11 with a push from Duke Anzac. Jeffrey Finguy's got to get to Hunter's back bumper if they want to make a charge, but it looks like for now the 10 will stay out in front with help from the 83 and possibly the 91 if he can get up there. But right now it's Hutchinson, Anzac, and Hunter leading the way.
Yeah, Hutchinson is just tearing away. As we say that, it's going 3 wide to second there, which makes it very interesting racing here.
Absolutely. Jeffrey Finguy made a move down to the bottom for a little bit. He wisely backs out of it for now to try and get himself a better run later. It's going to cost him a few spots here now, as they're 3 wide for 4th position back there. It's almost a pyramid formation they're racing in right now, with Hutchinson the man on top, Anzac and Hunter being the middle row, and then the 91, 92, and 18 forming the base. But they're starting to spread out a little now as I talk about this formation. They're breaking it up as I speak, but Justin Hutchinson continues to lead the way on lap number 14. We have much racing to go still, though, so anything can still happen here at Atlanta. But these cars have got to be your favorites out front right now.
Oh, absolutely, but there's a lot of factors that can still happen in this race. From incidents to pit stop strategy, it's still anyone's race, whether you're in the front pack or in 10th right now. I wouldn't count any of these cars out.
No, as Duke Anzac takes the lead for the first time all day long. He leads at Atlanta Motor Speedway with a push from Nick Ortiz. He gets out in front of Hutchinson in the number 83 Toyota. It's all Ford and all Toyota in this front pack. Like I said, the first Dodge is Bobo Jones back in 8th, and I still don't see any Chevrolets in the top 10 in the early stages of this race. So it looks to be the Ford and Toyota show right now. But like we said, anything can still happen, because here comes Nick Ortiz on the outside. He'll take the lead away on lap number 15.
Yeah, he's been doing well, especially off the last race. He wants to show his teammates that he can drive well, and unlike last race with that little incident, he has now his teammate to help him out now.
So Ortiz leads the way with his teammate and Hutchinson battling for second behind them. Finish Line Motorsports this race is a tale of two, is completely two different stories, because you got Ortiz and Hutchinson battling for the lead right now, but then you have Freeman, Jr., and Blair in the 19 car. They started outside the top 30. They've got a lot of ground to make up if they want to catch up to their fast teammates that are out in the lead. But right now it's Justin Hutchinson that takes the lead back from Nick Ortiz with help from the 83 and the 51.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, but for the finished team, they'll be looking, doesn't matter where they position, as long as they position high up. And having first and third will be good for them either way. Won't have first and second, though.
Yeah, they're currently holding second and third right now, with Duke Anzac taking the lead of this race. With Ortiz second, Hutchinson third, Polanski making a move on the outside to try and take third away as they come through turns 2 for the 18th time in this race. The tire fall off is going to be very high in this race, because we started the day with lap times in the low 31-second bracket, around there. I expect by the end of this run, we'll be running 34, 35-second lap times. That's how much the tires fall off here, and that's how slow these cars will become at the end of this fuel cycle.
Yeah, exactly, mate, exactly. That's when this race becomes a war of nutrition. How risky are you willing to try and push those tires to before going into the pits? How long do you want to try and hold on to position? How much of a chance are you willing to risk? That's where these drivers got to be real crucial about.
Because you don't want to pit until you absolutely have to, because you lose so much time on track pitting. That's why you hope for a caution flag that lets you get a free pit stop in under caution, but if you had to pit under green, you ideally want to do it with as few cars with you as possible, and you want to be the first car on pit road among your competitors, so you can get the advantage of fresh tires first before your competitors join you on pit road.
Yeah, exactly. And that being said, especially in this little fun pack here, you know, you don't want to follow the lead chicken. You want to try and make yourself go off at the right time, and that's very, very dangerous, especially if you don't have any support with you at all while trying to get back on the road.
Looking back through the field a little bit, we got this battle for 7th brewing between Christian Vargas in the 54, Bobo Jones in the 86. They're slowly catching up to the lead pack, but looking back to this battle for 9th, we got Roberto Crown Jr., Diego Yepes, and two drivers making their series debuts here this weekend. Nelson Reeves in the 17, running in the top 15, and Kyle Vaughters in the 62. They're doing a very solid job alongside Joshua Michaels and Halleck in the 84. They're running solidly in the top 15, which for a series debut is not terrible at all.
Well, let's look at it this way. Kyle Vaughters nearly started in 30th position here. So for him to be challenging in the top 15 is absolutely amazing for this kid. So if he does this well, you know, his owners are going to be very proud of him.
He should be proud of himself, because he is the owner of that Royal Performance Motorsports team. As right now we go back to the battle for the lead, Duke Anzac holds it, Justin Hutchinson and Stephen Hunter won it, but they're busy battling side by side with each other for second place, and that might allow the 83 to pull away a little bit here as we continue through lap 23 under green flag conditions here at Atlanta Motor Speedway.
Yeah, it looks like Hutchinson's going to be pushing Anzac a little bit forward to try and give Hunter a little bit of leeway to jump off the place with them for third.
You say that Hutchinson goes wide around Anzac on the very outside of the racetrack to take the lead back. So Hutchinson leads that lap with help from... Actually, he didn't have any help in that move. He did that all by himself. Just goes to show the speed of that number 10 Ford Mustang, and he's really showing his stuff with help from his Ford teammates in the 91 and the 92 running 5th and 6th right now.
Yeah, exactly. You know, he's doing very well, but Anzac and Hunter aren't really, looking forward to that game, and they're pretty much showing that off right now as Anzac takes the lead, and then Hunter right behind in second.
3 different Toyotas from 3 different race organizations. We've got the Carter Racing System entry of Duke Anzac, the Revolution Racing car of Stephen Hunter, and the King's Motorsports entry of Jared Polanski. So they're not none of these 3 are teammates, but they all drive for Toyota, and I'm sure they're willing to help each other a little more than helping any of these Fords up front.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think in the words of Toyota, it's basically they're known to help each other, and with Fords, they don't want to look at them. It's like, it's like the anti-demon sort of thing from them.
That could be the case. We'll have to wait and see for the team's debrief, but with Stephen Hunter and Duke Anzac battling for the lead, Hunter gets a huge dive into turn 3. He will take the lead, and hopefully he can clear the 83. Not quite. As they come through turns 3 and 4, it'll be Hunter leading at the line, but Anzac's got to run on the high side with help from Justin Hutchinson. These guys are still battling for the lead side by side, and we're almost a third of the way through this race, and they're still side by side.
Yeah, that's very close contact, side-by-side racing. We always love to see that, but sooner or later, halfway through the race, we're going to be seeing the pits, and that's where this whole leading pack could change dramatically. So for now, they're doing great. Later on, who knows?
You can see Jeffrey Finguy starting to fall off the top 5 a little bit. He might have used up a little bit too much of his stuff trying to battle for position, and right now he's just falling to the back of the line and waiting for an opportunity if these 5 have a potential accident. But right now, it's Anzac, Hunter, Polanski, 1, 2, 3 for Toyota right now. And after a Nitro National Series race that saw a team finish 1-2 in that race, it'll be interesting to see if an organization can pull the same feat off here. The closest ones to doing it are Finish Line Motorsports in 4th and 5th, and Revolution Racing in 2nd and in 7th.
Yeah, but that 7th car has a long way to catch up, because 6th is all the way back there, and 7th has a long road with no one to go and help them. So for them to get that 1-2 Revolution, they need a miracle to pull off here.
They could also use the pit stop strategy, as you said. If Vargas can get onto the pit road before these 5 or 6 cars, he can get a big jump on them and potentially take the lead from all 6 of them, as Anzac and Hunter go side by side for the lead once again, going into turns 1 and 2 on lap 30 of 98. We're almost a third of the way through this race, and we're still seeing the side-by-side action these fans come to know and expect and love here at Atlanta Motor Speedway.
Yeah, that's why people love this track. They love it because it's a tight, close, long track that they know it's going to be very close, very intense, but very good side-by-side action. And that's why we love coming back here again and again.
So Anzac led that lap, but Hunter's getting a run on the inside. He's going to try and see if Polanski can help him a little bit, but they're a bit far behind in the battle for 3rd place. They're about 3/10 off this battle for the lead, so Anzac and Hunter are pretty much on their own right now. As you can see, Hunter backs off a little bit, giving Anzac the lead just to get a better run through the middle of the corner to try and cement himself into the lead of this race. We'll see if he leads at the line. I don't think he will. I think Duke Anzac held the lead for that lap by just a few inches at the line at an average speed of 174 miles per hour. This race is going by at a very fast pace, and right now it just looks like the Duke Anzac, Stephen Hunter, and the rest of the field are trying to save their stuff and hoping for a pit stop to rejuvenate their motors a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. I think all the cars right now are starting to feel that little wear and tear now, especially on the tires. They're praying for a yellow, but they don't want the yellow to be caused onto them. That's what they're hoping for now.
Another thing is they don't want a yellow flag too soon, because that might put them outside their fuel window, and that might make them have to pit a second time in this race. So you don't want to have to pit twice. You ideally want to make this race on one pit stop, So if you want to have a caution flag come out, ideally you want it to come out about, let's say, lap 48 to 50. Because you can make it happen there, you can make the entire race on one pit stop easily, and you can get a free pit stop under caution while you do it.
Yeah, and as we were just talking, number 18, Jared Polanski takes the lead for this race out of nowhere.
He started on pole, so he knows how to get speed here at Atlanta, and he's starting to pull away a little bit from Duke Anzac and Justin Hutchinson. Stephen Hunter falls back to 4th, with Nick Ortiz right behind him. And Jeffrey Finguy's falling even further off the pace. Not off the pace, rather, but off this lead group of 5. So it looks like it'll be these 5 cars that gotta settle this race between them, unless a yellow flag comes out at the right time, which could change everything for these drivers as they try and stretch their fuel to the halfway point, or further as they try and make this race on one stop.
Yeah, exactly, mate, exactly. But right now, it's Polanski with Stephen Hunter pushing him along. And we got a little inside cut from Anzac to the 83. Pushed by Hutchinson.
There he goes. But Polanski and Hunter have the advantage off of turn 4. They will take the lead of this race. With Polanski out in front, Hunter pushing him along in the draft. The draft isn't as effective here as, say, at Pensacola a week ago, but it's still very much a factor in getting a run off the corners, as you see Polanski pulling ahead of Anzac right there. But, and especially so, the side draft is a big factor here. That's where you get right up beside a car, take the air off their spoiler, and slow them down enough to where you can pass, as when they get so close to hitting the wall with Hunter there. But side draft is a key factor in this race, and that might have been what allowed Duke Anzac to take the lead back.
Yeah, I think it might have. And we can see that now Anzac has a nice, not a commanding lead, but a sizable lead that we've seen in this race so far by 0.2 of a second. And he seems to be expanding that more and more now.
This is the biggest lead we've seen anybody have all race long. You can see, although I wouldn't count out Polanski and Hutchinson just yet. I think they're just conserving their stuff to make another charge at Anzac later, because you can see Polanski gaining time. As you see, the gap stays right about the same, despite the advantage Anzac pulled on the back straightaway. So, don't count out Polanski yet. He might just be saving his stuff as we enter lap 38 of 98 here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. This is the 1UP Superstar Series, and they're showing how they can all become superstars in this series by racing their hearts out and trying to score the win in the second race of the 2021 season.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, these drivers did really well last time out, and they just want to prove themselves to be a little bit better than last time, especially after the curse was broken from our last winner.
Yes, with Lane Sanders breaking a superspeedway curse, could we see someone who struggles on intermediates pull off a win? I wouldn't say that, because all the drivers up at the front of this pack, they've run very well on mile-and-a-half tracks. As a matter of fact, Justin Hutchinson won twice on that configuration of track last season. So these are no slouches when it comes to intermediate racing. As you see Nick Ortiz starting to fall off the pace a little, of the leaders a little bit. So now it's down to 4 cars battling for the win. 3 Toyotas and Justin Hutchinson's Ford. It's got to be a lonely feeling up there if you're Justin Hutchinson, because your teammates keep falling off the leaders, and now you're the only one left.
Yeah, that's pretty much what happened in Pensacola as well. Hutchinson was all by himself when Ortiz dropped back as well, and Hutchinson doing a huge move on Polanski there, but it ain't sticking, unfortunately.
So Polanski holds on to second. Anzac continues to lead the way. I expect this to come down to, well, now Hunter's fallen off as well. So we just keep losing contenders from this race, and now it's down to these 3 for now, at least, in the battle for the lead. Anzac, Polanski, and Hutchinson. They've raced together multiple times in various other aspects of racing, but here they are battling for the lead in the 1UP Superstar Series at Atlanta Motor Speedway. We're closing in on the halfway lap, which will be lap 49 of this race. We're on lap 42 now. As we take a look further back through the field, you see Vargas and Jones continuing to fight for 7th place, almost 4 seconds off the lead. They're having a very spirited battle for that position, with Joshua Michaels establishing himself into the top 10. A very good run for him after a top 10 to start the season. He's looking for another one to boost himself up the points ladder and make himself a contender. Kyle Waters has put himself in the 10th position ahead of the Monster Motorsports Fords that are lined up on the inside with Halleck and Yepes. And you can see Roberto Cron Jr. on the high side, Jake McMillan, J.D. Martin, Nelson Reeves, Joshua Lee making his first start of the season in his scheduled car. Remember, at Pensacola, he made a start in the 56 RFJ Motorsports car when his Carter Racing System entry failed to qualify for Pensacola. So Lee has technically made every race this season, but this is his first start of the season in his current ride.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, yeah, Joshua Lee, yeah, he's made every race. Yeah, he's just, he likes different color scheme and a different number each race. Just don't mind that part. But he's made every race.
He plans to make every race this season from here on out in this 07 car. We'll see what happens. You can see Freeman and Blair, the other two finish line cars, making a very good effort in the top 20. They've gained a lot of spots. Stephen Gale running just outside the top 20 with Henry Thomas, Lane Sanders, the Pensacola 500 winner. Ben McDonnell and Richard Herman started 40th or worse. They're having a good run. Anderson Reed making his series debut, doing a nice job in the 25th position. William Brock dropping back a bit from where he started. Zachary Fitzwater, Cody Goforth, Wyatt Dooling battling for position. Henry Brown lagging back a little bit of the Royal Performance cars. And then these cars back here, we didn't expect these guys to be running back here. Jerry Cook making his series debut. Brandon Beal, Jeff Bolton, Jordan Presto off the base, and then Orion Spartaco, a late race substitution in the 78 when he failed to qualify for the race in his 87 car. Team owner Braden Saul put him in the 78 for this race. And that was your run through the field at lap 45. Sorry if we didn't get to every driver, but it just goes by so fast here, these laps ticking away. As we close in on the halfway distance marker, Jared Polanski's gets pulled out a pretty sizable lead over the rest of the field.
Yeah, exactly. And now we're on lap 46. We're nearly at the halfway point, and it's still anyone's race. But sooner or later, the gap's going to keep on riding. Sooner or later, the lead cars are going to get towards the back cars, and that's where we're going to get real interesting.
Yeah, they're closing in on Orion Spartaco to put him a lap down. I'm curious to see if that will hold up Jared Polanski at all. We're closing in on halfway. We're 2 laps away from halfway right now, with Polanski having a 3/4 of a second lead over Duke Antak and Stephen Hunter. You can see Spartaco in the black car up ahead, trying to hang on to the lead lap, but inevitably he will fall victim to Jared Polanski, to Stephen Hunter, Duke Ansak, Justin Hutchinson, all these leaders, because they're just that much faster than him. Even though the times have fallen off a ridiculous amount, we're running right around 33, 34 second lap times, about 2 to 3 seconds slower than we did at the start of this race. So if the race pace has fallen off a little bit, that is why the tires are just begging to be taken off and replaced with new ones, as right now the lead is actually starting to close back up again between Polanski and the rest of his challengers.
Yeah, exactly. Polanski is still leading the reins. Anzac and Hunter trying to catch him, but that lap car of Orion might be in a bit of danger soon.
It definitely might be, because these cars are gaining on him, and you can see him in the distance. They're closing in on him pretty quickly. I'm just curious to see which car he will hinder more. Will it be Polanski? Will it be Anzac or Hunter? You can see around Spartaco, the gap is closing between these guys. So anything can still happen in this race. We've still got half of it to go. But right now, Jared Polanski is enjoying a very nice lead over Duke Antak, closing in on the lap car of Orion Spartaco as we take the crossed flags at Atlanta Motor Speedway to signify we are halfway through the second race of the season. And with that being said, the crossed flags signifying the halfway point, Jared Polanski out in front of this race with Duke Antak right on his bumper now. That lead is all but evaporated for Duke Antak in the number 83. He has caught Stephen Hunter at a ridiculous rate of speed, and right now it's Antak trying to get by Polanski for the lead, but Polanski's able to hold him off right now as we complete lap number 50. 50 laps have been completed, and the battle for the lead is just as intense as when we started today. Antak continuing to fight tooth and nail for this race lead, but right now it's Polanski continuing to show the way right now. Hunter's caught back up as well. This is just an interesting battle to see who can make it to the pit stop cycle, which should be coming in about 10 laps or so. But Anzac continues to hound Jared Polanski for the race lead here as we complete lap 51. Orion Spartaco is closing in ever so closer to this lead pack. I'm curious to see who he's going to impact the most in this race. And because Anzac and Polanski are battling side by side for the lead, one of them has got to give way for Orion Spartaco when they catch him. You can hear the roar of the engines as they battle side by side for position, as Anzac and Polanski continue to battle for the lead. They've caught Orion Spartaco. Who is he going to get in the way of? He's going to get in the way of somebody, and it looks like it'll be Duke Anzac that Orion Spartaco holds up just a little bit, as Jared Polanski goes around the outside of Orion Spartaco to take the race lead away, and Polanski is through to the race lead, with Spartaco now holding up Anzac and Hunter behind him. Anzac will try and get underneath Spartaco to try and get around him. Hunter will do the same. Finguy is caught back up to this battle as well. Hutchinson in 5th, Ortiz in 6th. And the rest of the field 5 seconds back. These guys are just pulling away at a ridiculous rate of speed here.
Yeah, he really is.
So,
yeah,
with Jared Polanski out in front of this race, Orion Spartaco has been lapped, and that has allowed Polanski to stretch his lead out. But don't look now, because here comes Duke Anzac in the 83, Stephen Hunter in the 51. They're forming a train behind Jared Polanski, and Duke Anzac's going to try and go for the lead right here, side by side, to complete lap 54 of this race.
Yeah, I mean, it's very close here. Anzac's trying to catch up to Polanski, but Polanski's just pulling away a little bit too much for Anzac to catch up. But in saying that, he's got Hunter behind him, so you never know, really.
Yeah, and they're side by side for the lead right now, with help from the 80, with the 51 has pushed the 83 out to the lead, and now Jeffrey Finguy's sticking his nose in. He's conserved his stuff pretty well, and now he's making a charge at it in that 92 Motorcraft Ford, with Polanski and Hunter fighting it out for second on the high side. That's going to allow Duke Anzac to pull away a little bit as we approach green flag pit stops, which should be coming in about 5 to 8 laps or so. But right now, these guys are not thinking about pitting at all. They're thinking about, can I get the lead from Duke Anzac here as the laps continue to tick away.
Yeah, exactly. The other cars are just trying to maybe, hopefully, work together a little bit, but they don't want to give up too much position because they all want the lead. And right now, it's just the Anzac show really just leading away.
Yep, he's got a pretty good, decent-sized lead of about half a second over Jared Polanski and Stephen Hunter. Jeffrey Finguy still in the mix as well. I'm just curious to see which of these cars will hit pit road first and get a sizable advantage when they strap on 4 new Goodyear tires. That will be the deciding factor of who wins this race. Who pits first and when. Because everybody can make it to the end of the race if they pit now. So you don't have to worry about stretching anymore. You can pit at any point from here on out and make it to the end of the race. The question is, when do you pit to get that final set of tires?
Yeah, that's the real question. And right now, it's up to the pit crews to help them and guide them on when to do it. And so, you know, on the team radios, they're going to be chatting, they're going to be talking, and hopefully they'll make the right move when it happens.
So, we've got Duke Anzac in the lead. Jared Polanski is making another charge at it. Stephen Hunter up high, battling Jeffrey Finguy for third. But now Jared Polanski is getting alongside Anzac on the inside line. They're side by side for the lead. Anzac will lead the lap, but barely over Jared Polanski. Polanski's got the shorter way around the track, but Anzac can carry more momentum around the high side. So it's really anybody's guess as to who can lead this race right now. But it appears Polanski's going to get a bit of a run here on the 83 as we go to our live helicopter view of the action, following along here with Jared Polanski pursuing Duke Anzac very closely, and the side-by-side battle for third right behind them.
Yeah, I mean, with the thing is that Finguy can easily push Polanski along, and that would probably hurt Anzac, so you got to keep an eye on those two working together.
So, Anzac continues to lead the way, but Polanski is still right on the bumper of the 83 Toyota. It's still anybody's guess as to which of these 6 cars in the lead draft can pull off a win here, as we can see a couple of cars starting to make their way onto pit road a little bit. It's a little early for that, as here we go. Here are the first pit cars heading to pit road for green flag pit stops. Duke Anzac and Jared Polanski. Saw Jerry Cook already in the pit lane. But Anzac and Polanski are the first of the leaders to make green flag pit stops, so they will likely have a huge advantage over these 4 who stayed out an additional lap.
Yeah, exactly. I reckon this lap, these guys are going to be going into the pits. But right now, Hunter gets a bonus point for leading lap just against Finguy. Like, not even. Look at that time.
Yep, 0.00 seconds. That's very close. As Finguy, Hutchinson, and Ortiz come in, Hunter stays out an additional lap. As you can see, look at all these cars on pit road to get all together. They really did not want to spend an additional lap on the racetrack, so they all head the pit road. Hunter stays out a little bit longer. I'm not sure what his plan is here, but he's gonna try and stretch it a tiny bit more, but he's gotta come in this lap. Otherwise, he's just gonna wear out his tires more and more, and that will just allow these guys on fresh tires to run right over him. Yep, here he comes into the pit lane on lap 62. Stephen Hunter into the pits.
Yeah, I mean, he led a couple good laps, but I guess he did want to try and get into the mix of all the other guys, but there's still a couple cars still there. You got Fitzwater in there, you could see the 35 in there, but right now, it's Duke, it's number 51 leading the race.
For now, but it looks like that Anzac and Polanski will be the 2 cars that settle this race between them, because they've gotten past Finguy, Hutchinson, and Ortiz, and it looks like these 2 will have a commanding lead over everybody else. So, with 63 laps complete, and green flag pit stops having been fully completed, it looks like Jared Polanski and Duke Anzac will be the 2 cars settling this race between them as they fight for victory. Anzac looking for his first career win, Polanski looking for his 3rd.
Yeah, I mean, Polanski wants to try and tie Stephen Hunter's record and, of all-time wins. And, that's always a good thing. But for Duke Anzac to get his first win in the second race of the series is always a good feeling. So really, both drivers deserve the wins here.
Well, with Jared Polanski trying to take the lead away, they've got fresh tires, so they can maneuver their cars very nimbly around this 1.5-mile track, and they're doing a very good job of navigating this worn-out racetrack with their fresh tires. Polanski and Anzac continue to die side by side for the lead, but no one else is even close, because Finguy's 3 seconds back, Hutchinson and Ortiz are 5 seconds back. As we check, Stephen Hunter did post the fastest lap, and it looks like he'll keep it, because these tires will continue to fall off just like the old ones did. So give Stephen Hunter the bonus point for fastest lap. But right now, Polanski and Anzac aren't worried about that. They're worried about who's going to win this race, because right now it's down to these 2 and these 2 alone, unless a yellow flag comes out to disrupt their fun.
Yeah, unless the yellow flag comes out and ruins it and tightens up the field, it's just going to be overtake against overtake, one-on-one driving against Polanski and Anzac, which is always fun to see.
And as you can see, Anzac goes down the inside to try and get around Jared Polanski in the 18. It's to no avail. Polanski continues to lead the way, as Anzac's got to be careful not to burn up his new tires too soon, because you want to get as much out of them as you can early on, but you also want to make sure you have a little bit left for the very end of this race, because we still have almost a little over 30 laps to go in this race. Anything can still happen, so keep an eye out on these 2 cars to see who can manage their tires the best of these 2, and which one can keep themselves out in front when it matters most.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't matter how many laps. Well, it does matter a little bit how many laps you lead, as long as you lead the final lap. That's all that really matters.
So, Jerry Cook made a huge gain on pit road. He gained like 10 spots on the pit road by pitting first of anybody on track. He was the first one on pit road, and he gained at least 10 spots by doing so. But with these 2 pitting right a lap after him, They have gained a massive amount of time, and they are now the only two cars with a remote chance of winning this race. And they're still battling side by side for the lead going into turn 1. We're 68 laps into this race, and these two are still battling side by side for the lead like it's the very start of the race.
I mean, this is where it becomes interesting because they're still giving it the all, trying to adjust for position, trying to hold on. But they're doing it so late on the race that the wear of the tires is going to play a huge factor. The lap cars are going to play a huge factor. The cars in front of them are going to play a huge factor. An incident's going to play a huge factor. Anything can happen still.
And we have crossed the 30 lap to go mark in this race on lap 69 of 98. Jared Polansky continues to lead the way by a hair over Duke Anzac. They're coming up to lap Brandon Beal. They lap Jordan Presto under the pit cycle. So we have 40 cars on the lead lap, soon to be 39 when Beal falls off the lead lap. So all 42 cars are running in this race, which is a very impressive feat, considering we only had about 25 or so finish the Pensacola 500. So to have all 42 cars finish this race would be a very good sight to see if we can make it happen.
Oh, yeah, if that could happen, that would be a miracle in itself. I don't think I've seen a race of this caliber.
As we see a problem, it looks like, with the 59 of Zachary Fitzwater. He was down on the apron of the track. Could it be a mechanical failure on the 59? Just as we'd said, we were hoping all 42 cars would finish this race. The 59 with some mechanical issues, hoping he can get back out there. We'll see what his team says. We'll keep you updated on that a little later on. But right now, Jared Polansky's closing in on Brandon Beal at a very fast rate of speed. With Duke Anzac starting to fall off a little bit, can Polansky stretch out a lead big enough to try and steal the win of this race away?
If Polansky can get through that car and hold up, and Anzac gets hold up by him, I reckon Polansky has this race in the bag.
So Polansky passes Beal with relative ease, and we can report that Zachary Fitzwater's issue is terminal on his 59 Wilson Security Dodge. His car will be the first retiree from this race on lap 72. Tough break for Zachary Fitzwater after starting the season with a top 10 in the 500, but at least he can regroup and move on to Bristol, because the season is still very much young, and he can still make a run at this playoffs even with a poor finish here in the early stages.
Yeah, and especially with how crazy Bristol is. I mean, last time we went to Bristol, we saw a guy get on his roof. So, anything that can happen in Bristol.
And we got more problems here. We got JD Martin in the 66 car on pit road with some mechanical difficulties as well. Martin was running in the top 20 when this issue occurred. Hopefully they can get his car fixed. It looks like they'll be able to. They're starting to work on the 66, and I'm hoping they can get him back out on track because he needs a good run, because he didn't have the best of runs at Pensacola. He had a solid effort, but not where his team wanted to finish, I'm sure. But right now, JD Martin's sitting on pit road with the hood up, trying to diagnose what the issue is with their car. So right now, it's Jared Polansky out in front still as we complete lap 74. Duke Anzac has also gotten around Brandon Beal in the 37 and is starting to close back in on Jared Polansky as we have 37 cars on the lead lap with less than 30 laps to go.
Yeah, less than 30 laps to go. This is where it's not really anyone's race. It's down to these two cars, Polansky and Anzac. And now it's just about, can Polansky hold on and can Anzac catch up? This is what it all comes down to now.
Because all the pit stops are done, all the strategy is done. It's just a flat-out race to the finish line right now. So closing in on 20 laps to go. We've got about 23 to go, 22 to go right here. 23 laps to go. And Jared Polansky's still holding on to the lead, but Duke Anzac's still right there, and no one else is in sight. These two have pulled away from the rest of the field in a big way. So right now, Martin is still in the pit lane trying to diagnose his engine issue. He's fallen 3 laps down. But right now, the battle is for the lead between Polansky and Anzac as we approach 20 laps to go.
Yeah, exactly. Polansky still holding on, trying to get as many points as he can for leading the most laps. But Anzac is trying to gain him and trying to take that lead from him, especially on that final lap.
So we have 2 cars battling for the lead. We will take a look back to see where your favorite driver is running in the field on the top left corner of your screen. We're going through the whole field there for you to take a look at. But right now, the top 10 is this. Jared Polansky is leading. Duke Anzac second. Stephen Hunter 4.5 seconds back is third. With Justin Hutchinson fourth. Jeffrey Finguy running fifth. Now they've swapped that position. Finguy in fourth. Hutchinson in fifth. Nick Ortiz in sixth. 5 seconds off the lead. Joshua Lee is up to 7th ahead of Kyle Vaughters, Christian Vargas, and Jake McMillan rounding out the top 10. But right now, it's a 2-horse battle for this race win as they come up to lap Jeff Bolton in the 37th place car. So it'll be a battle between Polansky and Anzac, as we keep saying. We've now crossed the 20 lap to go mark, and Jeff Bolton is right there for the taking to lap him and hopefully see one of these two fight for the win. As we can report, JD Martin is back out on the racetrack, 7 laps down in his number 66 Chevrolet. He's running 41st, but he's still running, and hopefully he can pick off a few cars and gain a decent finishing position, because he really needs a good finish in this race.
Yeah, he really does, but by now it's about these 2 guys who tried to lap the winner of the Pensacola 500.
Not quite. You're thinking of the wrong green car there, mate, because Lance Sanders is in the 41. He's running in the top 25 right now. This car, Jeff Bolton, had a DNF in the 500, and he's hoping for a good run here. He will not see it today as he goes a lap down to Jared Polansky and Duke Anzac. But these two are continuing to battle it out for the win as we take 17 laps to go in this race. You know anything can still happen as Polansky... Actually, Anzac's getting stuck behind Jeff Bolton a little bit. So Polansky's going to start to pull away a little bit. This could be huge in the battle for the race win.
This could be a major thing for Polansky. If Polansky could get away right now, I think he would be one and done this. But Anzac needs to get away from Bolton. And I think I might be colorblind because I can't tell my greens apart.
But regardless of whether your eyes are correct, Jared Polansky is still leading this race, with Duke Anzac still battling Jeff Bolton side by side, not for position, but for track position, and that's what's really important here. As Anzac, they're actually starting to close in on Polansky a little bit. So, Anzac stays on the bumper of Jared Polansky. They're still racing hard for every second of every position, for every lap. As we enter lap 83 of this race, we've got 15 laps to go, 16 laps to go. One of those numbers, I can't do math just like you can't see colors. But either way, we've got a handful of laps remaining, and these 2 cars have really pulled themselves away from the rest of the field.
Yeah, they have. You can barely see the 51 in the background of that shot there. But right now, it's just down between the 18 and the 83. Polansky and freaking Anzac. But, the other cars have done a really good showing. Stevie Hunter, he's done well, top 3. You wish he was top, but, Hunter's always looking to be the best of the best.
As Hunter could see his record tied here today if Polansky can hold on to win. You can see JD Martin clicking off fast lap after fast lap. He got fresh tires while he was in the pits, resolving that engine issue, so he's currently the fastest car on the track right now, albeit 7 laps off the pace. But right now, it's still the Polansky and Anzac show right now. As we close in on 15 laps to go in this race, there they go to take the stripe at 15 laps to go. So, with Polansky now, with a 0.3 of a second lead over Duke Anzac, they've gotten around Jeff Bolton. My question is, will JD Martin be able to catch up to these guys and get one of his laps back?
I reckon probably not. Right now, I feel like JD Martin did what he could do, which is try to get the fastest lap so he can get some points in some regard, and he's done that now, because no other car is going to really challenge him for that now. But now he's just got to try and slowly catch up. Will he catch up? Probably not. But you never know. It's a long lap race to go.
he's got to beat a 30.97 that Stephen Hunter set to take the fastest lap, and right now he's running like 31.1s, so he's still not quite at the fastest lap point, but he's really close. And right now, Jared Polansky's actually pulling away a little bit. He's now got a half-second lead over Duke Ansack as we close in on 12 laps to go in this race. Anything can still happen, but right now, as you can see, Martin is steadily closing in on the fastest lap, but I'm not sure if he'll get there, especially at the rate of speed these tires wear out. So Stephen Hunter should probably be celebrating his fastest lap point, but right now, it's Polansky and Ansack settling this race between them. I know we sound like a broken record talking about these two all day long, but they really are the fastest cars on track. And after Duke Ansack saw his cars finish 1-2 yesterday, he's really gotta want to win this race and make it a perfect weekend for him.
Oh, exactly. You know, his car's doing the 1-2. Him winning this one, it'll be the perfect way to finish off the weekend. You know, celebrate with the guys back in the garage. You know.
That's true, but he's still got to get around Jared Polansky first, as we have 11 laps to go in this race. It's still anybody's guess as to who can win this thing, but it's going to be down to these two cars settling. It will be the Dogecoin Toyota of Jared Polansky, or it will be the Starfleet Toyota of Duke Ansack. It's anyone's guess. As you can see, Martin closing in. He's still clicking off lap after lap, being the fastest car on track. But I'm not sure if he'll get there in time. Only time will tell, as we now have 10 laps to go in the second race of the season at Atlanta Motor Speedway.
Yeah, I mean, all drivers here have done really good driving, but these two, Polansky and Ansack, have done exceptionally well. They've done really good strategies. They've pitted well. They've pitted right. And now it's just these two. But right now, it's just Polansky leading away now as he gets more and more time off of Ansack.
There are a few lap cars ahead of them. We'll see if that plays a factor in these final 10 laps. We've got 9 to go now. With Jared Polansky continuing to lead this race, he could tie a record if he wins this race. The most wins all time in the series. Stephen Hunter has 3. Polansky has 2. And if he wins today, that'll put him at 3 to tie him with Hunter. That's a record Polansky definitely wants to take for himself and to prove that he's one of, if not the best driver on the circuit right now.
Yeah, exactly. Polansky has always been in the shadow of Hunter. And right now, with a win here, he could see that he is equal to Hunter, maybe even surpass him this season. He's probably the most challenging racer to Hunter's child shot.
So Polansky continues to pull away from Ansack. It's now about a 0.6 of a second, 0.7 of a second lead. And you said J.D. Martin wouldn't catch up. There he is, right behind Duke Ansack. So the 66 has picked up a lot of speed. It's a shame he's 7 laps down, because if this were a battle for position, man, that would have been an interesting fight for the win.
Oh, it would have been, absolutely. But here's the thing, though. If J.D. Martin doesn't get past Polansky, he could slow down Ansack and give Polansky the win here. So this is where it's going to be real interesting.
So J.D. Martin continues to click off lap after lap of going really, really fast in that Cartoon Network Chevrolet. But right now, Polansky is just stretching out his lead. And with Martin getting past Ansack, holding him up a little bit, I assume he'll easily breeze around Polansky here, getting to the inside, and get back 1 of his 7 laps down, so he'll now only be 6 behind, as we cross the stripe to take 6 laps to go in this race. Anything is still on the table, but it looks ever more likely that Jared Polansky will take his record-equaling 3rd career win.
Yeah, I mean, Polansky has been wanting this moment for a while. The guys at King's Motorsport have been really wanting the Polansky to, you know, get back to his old winning ways, and I feel like they've done it here in Atlanta.
That is true, and with Polansky lamenting his 41st place finish in the Pensacola 500, he really needs a good run here to boost himself into title contention once again. Remember, he made the playoffs last season. Didn't impress that much in the playoffs last season. He's hoping to rectify that this season with a commanding win here at Atlanta. As we take 5 laps to go in this race, who can stop him at this rate?
I feel like the only cars that could stop him is if the 66 holds him up for Ansack to catch him, or a yellow flag happens in these final moments.
Keep in mind, though, if a yellow flag comes out at this point, it would end the race. So Polansky's actually hoping for a yellow flag right now to end the race under caution, and he can cement himself a victory. But because at this point, a yellow flag would end the race. So Polanski just
Unless the yellow flag happens to Polanski. That's
exactly. If Polanski is the caution, that's a little less impressive for the caution to come out. But we're coming to 3 laps to go this time. Jared Polanski's got a near full second lead over Duke Anzac. This has become his playground as they come up to lap Ryan Soper in the 23 with 3 laps to go. Martin gets past the 23. I'm sure Polanski will get past the 23 as well. And I think the 23 will just become another buffer between he and Duke Anzac.
Yeah, exactly. I think Duke Anzac's trying to slowly catch up, but Polanski's too far gone now. He needs to pray that the 23 slows the Polanski down to try for Anzac to get a hope here.
We're coming to 2 laps to go this time, and it looks like Polanski's going to easily get around the 23. With 2 laps to go in this race, I just don't know who will be able to stop this 18 car from taking the win on our first trip to Atlanta Motor Speedway. It won't be our last, because remember, this track hosts the second to last race of the season when it comes down to it. So this is going to be a pivotal race in the race for the championship. And we got to report heartbreak for Jeffrey Finguy. He was running in the top 10, top 5 even. But an engine issue sidelined him in the final few laps. He will be saddled with 41st place finish. As the white flag is out, we have 1 lap to go in this race, and Jared Polanski's on his way to a record-equaling victory that I'm sure he'll be celebrating for a very long time.
Oh, exactly, especially with the Kings Motorsport boys after the weekend they've had here. You know, they'll be looking to celebrate after this win.
Jared Polanski came into this race with something to prove after a near last place finish at Pensacola. He's proving himself here today with a dominating performance here. And Jared Polanski off turn 4 for the final time. He will take the checkered flag and win his 3rd career race at Atlanta Motor Speedway, tying him with Stephen Hunter for the most all time in the 1UP Superstar Series. That is a monumental achievement for that whole 18 team.
Yeah, exactly. Polanski, congratulations on your victory, mate. Good driving, good pit stop strategy. Hunter coming in second, third, and Zach coming in second. Jesus, I am really gone here. The color blindness is getting to me.
So Duke Anzac settling for second, his best ever finish in the series. Stephen Hunter, on a day when his record is equaled, will come across in 3rd. Nick Ortiz will come home 4th. Justin Hutchinson rounds out the top 5 ahead of Christian Vargas, who gets his 2nd top 10 of the season. As we check to see, Jeffrey Finguy did have a clutch issue late in the race. A gearbox problem settled him with a 41st place finish. He is in a deep hole to dig himself out of as the season gets underway. It's a tough break for the 92 organization, but if anybody can rebound from this, it's Jeffrey Finguy. He's got a will of steel in him, and I'm sure he'll be able to rebound quickly. As we take a look through the rest of the top 10, we had Joshua Michaels get his 2nd 10th place finish of the season. He finished 10th both races this season. So good effort from the Royal Performance Motorsports team, and good effort from the Kings Motorsports team especially, with Jared Polanski celebrating in victory lane.
Yeah. I might go. I'm going to join them, the Kings Motorsport people, my boys. Congratulations. I'm going to go celebrate. I'm going to get some beers. Okay. You might not see me for next week or 2.
All right. So from Ryan Caggiano and from myself as well, we say goodbye from Atlanta Motor Speedway. We'll see you next week at Bristol Motor Speedway, the last great Coliseum, the world's fastest half mile, for race number 3 of the 1UP Superstar Series season. And we got to say a big congratulations to Jared Polanski, who set a record-equaling 3rd career win in the 1UP Superstar Series. He is your winningest driver of all time.
Wow.